Alright, let's see what we got here. This is 3v3 League, second division playoff. It's a best of three, as you can see. It's between Anvil Team 2, is it? And Endlose Traurigkeit, EGT for short. So, looking at the map here, the rules of Season 2 stated that the 5 least played maps are to be played in the playoff final. Or rather, it comprises the map pool of the playoff final. So, since it's a best of 3, the teams have been drafting from those 5 least played maps from the group stage and picked one home map each, and then for the remaining one they've been discarded the maps, that basically the maps they don't want to play or they want to play the least, and been left with Fortress as the game 1 map. So let's have a look here at the civilizations of choice. We have a draft link as well, exclamation mark draft for that one. But we have Suicidal Meat Shield here with the Mayans. That strikes me as a Plumed Archers play here. Mayans could go Eagles as well, of course, as the game goes on, if need be. And they, of course, have a great economy working for them. Let me see. If I can sharpen this up a bit, maybe not. Super Nintendo Charmers as the Huns. Tarkans come to mind, even Cavalry Archers, I guess, because there are some hills around on Regicide Fortress. Huns obviously not, or Paladins, of course. They're playing the pocket here, so Huns also have fully upgraded Paladins that create 20% faster from the stables. You'll see the players taking the boars earlier. They start with farms as well. You start with, it's a Regicide start, Regicide Fortress, so you start with the king as well. You could use the king to scout. You'll see the king's moving out and about here, covering some of the terrain because he's not really in danger of being taken out in the very early game. And he moves fast, so that's why the players are scouting with the kings. In the early stage of the game, once you enter the feudal age and whatnot, you usually won't, because yeah, you want to keep your king safe. If your king dies, you die in Regicide, so gotta be careful about that. But that's the Huns for Super Nintendo Chalmers, and Haru with the Cumans here. So 2 strong cavalry civilizations. You could see maybe a mini boom into a fast Imperial Age. Kipchaks and Trebs for Haru as well. Cumans also have siege rams. And but in this case, we have Haru going up super early with the Cumans. Ah, I see. For a second feudal age town center, Cumans being the only civilization that can do that on the stone here. So we'll be playing an extended feudal age, of course, but we'll also get a huge head start to the boom this way. Setting up a nice economy to boost whatever unit composition Haru wants to go for later. Now as for Endlose Traurigkeit here, we have Magay, the Slavs pocket here. Slavs with unique technology these days will get castles at a discount. If you research the Castle Age unique technology, you get to place castles as Slavs for half of the stone cost transferred to wood instead. So you could place lots of castles and start pumping out your boyars, which is in the Castle Age definitely stronger than the knight and the elite boyar, shining especially with the massive melee armor that they have. Great boom for the Slavs as well. The farms work faster. That is a lot of Dark Age farms, admittedly, for Maggia, but there's probably a reasoning behind that. I don't really see the Slavs going fast imp, of course, but it could be setting up, saving some food for a strong Castle Age boom here, which the Slavs could and should do, of course. Sarambai with the Vietnamese here. Actually, come to think of it, you start with five farms on purpose, so I guess it makes sense to see the few more, since your villagers will be around the TC after the boars, taking the boars anyway, and there aren't any deers to push, I think, so that could be why. Vietnamese here, you get to know the placement of your opponent's town centers, could come in handy on most maps. On Fortress, it's pretty self-explanatory, pretty standard though, where you're up against each other, but at least knowing which civilization you're up against could be useful. Still be useful, of course, this early on to plan whatever strategy you have in mind. You start with a castle and fortress as well, so unique unit play unique units see a lot more play on fortress. Vietnamese rat and archer from the castle should be dealing well with most units, really. It's a high pierce armor and decent melee armor, ranged units. And it moves kind of fast as well. Of course, it's the Vietnamese who could go for the elephants as well, but more often than not they will be going for their archery range units because they get 20% hit points boost to all of their archery range units. And finally, Jolly Jumper with the Chinese here. Chukonu comes to mind. He's even garrisoned the scout to heal up here, so probably run into a scouts fight earlier on. Nice gold in the back here, placing a couple of houses to make sure that's off limits. Should be an easy wall off on this side as well. So that's a beautiful TC spot for later for Magge, I guess. Just wall the edge here and then place a TC in between little lands of gold there for safe and consistent gold access. Cast stages are kicking in here. Super Nintendo Travelers going right into boom mode here with the Hounds. A second TC immediately dropped, so is the case for Suicidal Meat Shield here. Going to stone, suggesting that there's going to be more castles and eventually plumed archers entering the field. In all fairness, we could actually speed up the fortress start a bit, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of arm production things happening until later here. It's a bit of a boomy map in that regard, maybe a little bit of well, there are plumed archers out actually, so I spoke too soon. Suicidal Meat Shield is going for the 2 TCs here and sending some armies out to claim some map control, maybe to make it easier to collect the relics for their team here. So indeed, it is the plumed archers. Let's have a look at the stone count of Suicidal Meat Shield. 5 on stone, so there's going to be another castle soon enough here. This is actually kind of exposed for Jolly Jumper here. You could easily snipe some builders here with Mayans plumed archers if your attention is on point there. Ooh, even didn't start building the house, so you could run underneath the TC here or even inside of the base. Actually, maybe Suicidal Meat Shield would have taken the chance to run inside the base there, because this would actually be open. But maybe didn't see that. That's probably a capture H bug, but maybe Suicidal Meat Shield didn't expect it to be open at this point. 4 TCs for the Huns player here. It's easy to boom away with the Huns, given their that they'll never need to build houses. Frees up some flexibility in terms of focusing on army or villager production without having to worry about getting pop-capped. Sarubai here with the Vietnamese boom as well. The only player really fielding armies, the only players fielding any armies of significance here is are the ranged players. Kipchak's in the making for Haru, so Haru has made it to the cast age here, has the villager lead of course after being able to drop a second town center in the feudal age at 17 population feudal. You start with extra food on the side, that's why these past feudal ages are not only possible but viable. But Suicidal Meat Shield, how is it going to push here? Again, it's mainly just to keep the map control, I guess. To guard the relics, perhaps. You will not be able to enter the opponent's base without any siege weapons addition here. And preferably get to the Imperial Age to deal with the castle. Unless the kings happen to venture out in the field and get sniped by the ranged units, of course, but quite unlikely. Upgrades coming in for the Blue Archers now. The Bodkin Arrow. Chukunu's increasing in numbers for Jolly Jumpers. So let's see how is the production speed on these Compared, I guess the Blue Archers train a lot more quickly. Or is it comparable, actually? Yeah, so it's not that different. Another castle for the Cumans here. Haru fortifying the base further here, securing the 2 golds. Wait, gold and stone to the side here. But more importantly, dropping a second castle to pump out more keep cracks as the game goes on. So who is me? I don't know then this. I haven't looked at the chart yet. Who wins of Blue Archers or Chukonu here? Chukonu, they have slightly lower hit points, but the Blue Archers have a lower damage output and fire way more slowly as well, seconds between attacks. I guess the reload time is higher for Chukonu. Walling in the middle, funny that Haru is the player walling here with the granted the extra HP Cuman's Palisade walls, but yeah, that's not going to last you very long. You're going to need your teammate to pop up some stone walls, maybe. House on top here as well to make sure there's not going to be any sneaking through on this side. Let's go back to the fighting on the side. Chukonu versus Blue Archers. This is, I'm curious about this. I guess the Blue Archers are in higher numbers here. The reload rate of the Chukonu, it's much slower to reload. So the Blue Archers are slaying here. Granted, they had a little bit more numbers as well. But Blue Archers easily won that one. Here come the mighty Bowie though, and the +2 defense on the way. It's not in yet, so that's probably why Mage isn't considering to engage here. Chukonu don't shoot all arrows with Mike Ring. Well, wouldn't make that much of a difference, I think. Take the fact that the Blue Archer second between attacks is 1.9 and the Chukonu is 3. Gives the Blue Archers the advantage anyway, because they have a much shorter reload time. Well, that's suicide. Jolly Jumper getting a castle up on the hill here though. Third castle coming up for the Cumans as well. No, wait, that's the Vietnamese. I'm used to seeing Cumans in the teal for some reason. So those Cumans. Second castle coming up for the Vietnamese. That's what's going on here. A little bit in the middle of nowhere. Mercenaries time? Maybe. Oh. They all have castles, so I guess that's a viable play for Regicide Fortress. Quite a decent chunk of Rat Archers out here as well. They're sort of in the middle of the Plumed Archers and Chukonu in terms of reload rate. Base accuracy is 80, but with ballistics that should be better. King in the tower in the back here. It's actually hard to spot that flag in the middle of all these things, so that's something the players do sometimes. It's of course much more easily taken down, so if Endless Traurigkeit realizes that there's a king in the tower here, they could trap down that tower and use their range units to snipe it. So that's the beauty of Regicide games. If you take out the king, you could suddenly be looking at the 3 vs 2 scenario and win the game even if you're in a bad spot. Hamlet seem to have the better broom here, better economy, slightly more villagers. They're all going Imperial Age here, but Super Nintendo Travelers is already up. It's going for the Hunnic stables here and going for the Cavalier and Plate Body Armor upgrades. Going to be fighting against Bowyars though, and eventually Elite Bowyars. Mogge doesn't have the craziest boom though. Here comes the TC number 4 for the Slavs player on stone, so must have plans for more castles as well. Here comes the second castle for the green player. So have a look at the Slavs economy here. Yeah, I'm not going to afford Elite Boyar anytime soon. Iron casting coming in for the attack, actually prioritizing attack over plate binding armor, which is interesting. The Plumes versus the Truco News again here. Elite skirmishers added by Jolly Jumper. That's something you don't necessarily see all that often in team games, because there's always going to be a cavalry player. In this case, Super Nintendo Chalmers with the soon-to-become Paladins that would totally overrun the Elite skirmishers if they get close enough. Paladin on the way, in fact, which means that Mange will need to get to Elite Boyar to be able to contest that. And besides, Mange needs the castles to make the units. Granted, with the unique technology of the Slavs, when you get to it, it's going to be easier to place castles to mass units, but you still need the castles to mass the Boyars. That's one trap going down for nothing for the Mayans. Here, elite skirmisher numbers increasing as well, and the Chukonus with their fast firing rate, they're quickly dealing even with siege weapons here. Enter the soon-to-become Paladins. Super Nintendo Chalmers possibly a little bit impatient here. Elite Boyar is already in, and so that's no match for the... I mean, the Elite Boyars will easily take out the Cavaliers here. Paladin only 5 seconds away, though. Let's see how this fight goes for Super Nintendo Chalmers here. Chukonu on the hill. Great engagement for Endlose Traurigkeit here, I think. Impatient. Exactly. You wouldn't necessarily expect Elite Boyarin to be in already either, and that turns out the fight wasn't all that bad for Anvil after all. Looks like the Boyars are cleaning up, but 20% faster working Hun stables will still make it a lot easier to replenish the Paladin numbers here. Huge boom going on for Super Nintendo Chalmers here as well. Still queuing villagers at 155. So that's not leaving much room for the Paladins here, but it's certainly providing a steady flow of resources to replenish whatever units gets lost here. So smart, quick walling foundations here from Jolly Jumper. So it should be easy enough for the Paladins to break through. That's only a Paladin gate. It still messes up the pathing, so now the Paladins are pathing around instead of into the fighting here. What's going on the other side? Are we just hanging out with the Kipchaks over here? Breton archers from Sarombai. I think we need some siege addition here as well, like a Onager, or preferably siege Onager, as the pierce armor of the Rat Archer is just ridiculous. See, Stonewall's going up in the south, so Anvil already thinking about setting up, well, they already set up trade actually. Is that the case for the other team as well? No, they're not. EGT and Lost Traurigkeit, they've not gone for trade here. Does look like the stonewalling efforts here will be compromised for a bit, though. Yeah, Elite Boyar is ridiculous in terms of melee defense. You'd still have support from the Blue Archers, though. But I guess mass heavy cap archer could have made more sense here. I'm not sure, because you'd still have the Paladins from the Cumans if you need Paladins. But it's also expensive to get to Elite Boyar, and it takes a long time to, or you need castles to mass them, so easier said than done. I think Cow Archer would have made sense, yeah, because the Boyar Pierce armor isn't yeah, it's not great. Not bad, but not great. Some action topside here as well. Kipchak's focusing down the Boyar. So here it's working out like the elite Kipchak. Dealing nicely with the Boyars here. They're basically a Chukonu on a horse, these guys. Denying a castle as well. Okay, it's the same as a Paladin, okay, yeah. I guess it's when you get to elite Boyar and fully upgraded there. Good substitute for Paladin. I mean, if you look at the numbers, or look at the numbers Magge had when Paladin kicked in, was like 20 elite Boyars. That's nothing too crazy. So yeah, you could have done more damage at that point, I guess, even with Paladin. I see the pikeman, or rather the halberdier switch likely is coming in here. But now the base has been breached. Jolly Jumper with the forward castle on the Mayans base as well. Maybe they're just diving in for the kill here. They want to take out the castles, try and find the king, and take out one player and end it. Team players having a discussion about the approach here. The game's still wide open though if you look at the overall populations here. Still 500 pop for both teams. The military size, granted, it's higher for Endlose Traurigkeit. And we also have 60 elite bowyars, and we don't mess around with those, of course. Siegeplan coming in from the right-hand side for the Chinese here, also going for some barracks, which is probably going to be halberdiers then. Rocketry coming in to benefit the Chukonu as well. Yeah, and Lost Traveler pushing nicely on both sides here now. Rattan Archers, Warriors top side, some Boyars down south as well with Chukonus and forward castles here. Suicidal Meat Chill has switched into the Arbalists here because the castles are about to go down, of course, so that's a reasonable switch to be able to still mass armies. And Mayans, besides Mayans, have 30% cheaper Arbalists as well, so see, they're two-shotting the Boyars here, aren't they? This group of Arbalists, so not bad at all. Where's the king, by the way? He's not here. Oh, he's yeah. I'm sorry, princess, but the king is in another castle. No, I'm sorry, Mario. Well, how does that go? That's a princess, not the king, so never mind. Anyway, the king has moved in over here. You see these crowns here? That's the king's. The Halberdiers are in for Super Nintendo Chalmers now, but not quite in the mass they need to be. They also have as good upgrades as they can get. But yeah, these beasts of Boyar's 8+3 melee armor, even Halberdiers would struggle to take a good fight against those. So Endless Traurigkeit, they are pushing nicely on both sides, and they managed to close out the games here with the Chinese, Vietnamese, and Slavs combination. Sorry, I'm late. Did I miss anything? Well, you missed the last armor, but that's also not obtainable for the hunts, so... Mainly unique unit play here for Endlose Traurigkeit. Pretty easily KD for the boyars or the slabs here. Let's have a look at the overall economy. Highest for the Huns there. Biggest boom after all. To be expected maybe. Ridiculous feudal age time for the Cubans there, but that's what Regicide Stars can do for you on Fortress. You start with extra food, so you could essentially click instant feudal as well. You start with extra villagers too, so it's like tailor-made for a Cuban's feudal boom. Should have been faster, but the war went back. Yeah. It happens. Alright. Let's cross off the sieves here. Huns, Cubans, Lions versus Chinese, Vietnamese, and Slavs. Now off to game 2. Actually, let's have a look at the bands as well. Italians, Mongols, Lithuanians, Persians banned. And sure the players could tell me, but let's just have a look at the home maps as well. Anvil with Cape of Storms as the home map coming up next, where I expect to see maybe Japanese Malians and Khmer or Franks. And EGT, they have Northern Isles as their, or Northern Islands as their home map. In which case, for Cape of Storms, I guess Koreans, Portuguese, Ethiopians could be reasonable. Let's have a look. Game 2, hold on. There it is. Cape of Storms coming up. Honestly, kind of a ridiculous map. The players start fairly close. And in the middle, you'll be... yeah, you'll see the center players, they'll be fighting it off here. That's where they'll usually place what would be the common flank civilization, the archer civilizations. Then you'll be reinforced by cavalry from your teammates, or maybe Saracens cavalry. Saracens could take some responsibility for water here as well. It's called Cape of Storms, and you can see there's storm in the water because it's elevation on the water for the waves on the water for the galleys, Empire galleys, or any naval unit to exploit as an elevation advantage, I guess. So I've seen teams experiment with Tatars on this map and have Tatars fight water. It didn't work out for them. Tatars not exactly famous for their naval capabilities, but it's there. Relics all in the middle, fairly equally dispositioned. Now let's look at zips. Suicidal Meat Shield in the back here with the Malians. I'm envisioning a cavalry style play from the Malians here then. Should definitely go for an early dock as well, as the Malians with savings bonus allows for an instant fishing ship, doesn't it? And, but yeah, late game, Imperial Age Farimba raids with the +5 attack from Farimba for the Malians. Great raiding unit in the late game. Little mismanagement of the food here, maybe a bit late to finding the pigs here for Suicidal Meat Shield, but yeah, back on track, no problem, didn't cost any idle time, we're fine. In the middle here we have Super Nintendo Chalmers with the Franks. Classic pocket civilization for team games. Instant plus 20% hit points on stable units starting in the feudal age. So effectively the highest hit points paladin in the game as well. Instant farm upgrades gives Franks a great boom, and I guess there aren't... are there berries here? There's not berries on this map, so you need to... That's one of the Franks bonuses going to waste on this map really, but you could still fish and get some nice food economy rolling that way. Finally, Harry with the Britons here, so Anvil securing the Britons and their extra range for the archery range units, or rather the archers with upgrades. Archer crossbows are blessed, and also the longbows. Skirmishers don't get that extra range, and that's probably a good thing. Let's see, for Endlose Traurigkeit here, Ethiopians up against the Britons here in the center of the map. Ethiopians have faster firing archers, so they can certainly contest any other ranged units with that bonus, which comes in handy, but they still will be outranged by the Britons, as any archers are. In the pocket for Endlose Traurigkeit, we have the Saracens. Might be... Oh, they're real heavy on the camel sibs here, actually. Saracens in the start is against Britain, Malians and Franks. So this is going to be camels and cavalry. I guess Saracens could play knights in the castle age, of course, but they don't get cavalier, so in most cases you won't be seeing that. The camels get an extra 10 hit points in the castle age for the Saracens as well, and with the unique technology later on you could get an additional HP boost to the Saracens camels, so they're probably the second best camel civilization to Hindustanis, getting the Imperial Cavalry in the Imperial Age, which also has bonus damage against buildings. The camels of the Hindustanis, the stable units actually, the Scout, Light Cav, Live of Hindustanis have bonus as well, so that can be deceiving. Oh, look at this guy. Suicidal Mitchell goes suicidal in Mugge's base here, and doesn't even attempt to pull away the pigs. Wouldn't, of course, succeed with that. You just garrison one villager and reclaim them, so why even try? But that's an unfortunate loss. At least you get to learn the location of the enemy TC. But scouting quite a bit crippled for the early game. I remember when Saracens had best camels. Sure, Grandpa, let's get to it. Well, Saracens were first, Indians came later. It's kind of ridiculous to think about this game being so old that some of our best pro players today, they were actually born after the game's release. But that's AoE 2 for you. The definitive edition, admittedly, with a nice makeover. Ooh, 18 pop scouts here for Super Nintendo Childbirds. Not going for a dock at all, going for the very early Feudal Age scouts instead. How can you do 18 pop scouts with the Franks here? Of course, you could probably through pushing in deer or milling them, which is the case of Super Nintendo Childbirds. But there's also 3 rhinos on this map, so you get a food boost there, allowing you to go up earlier for the scouts opening. Looks like more of a conventional approach. Mugge, actually, is Mugge going straight past Castlears? 21 villagers up, but there's also 6 fish. Nah, it can't be. Timing is like 22 pop scouts style. What's the wood count like? Not going to be able to drop if the plan is to stay. Well, in fact, not really going to be able to drop any military building here, Mugge, just yet. 13 villagers on wood, yes, but if the plan is a stable here, there it is. That's already falling behind the Franks, but considering that the Hindustanis get bloodlines for extended feudal age fighting, we can still favor the Hindustanis here. But already significantly behind in production. There is 3, about to be 4 scouts for Anvil here, and stable not even completed for Mugge. Yeah, I was definitely thinking that Mugge was going FC here, but not on gold. If Mugge had been on gold here, that could have actually been a decent fast castle here, and that would put the Franks opponent at a disadvantage. Okay, double stables. That's going to help to catch up with the Franks production here. We have 3 scouts roaming about for Super Nintendo Chalmers here. Has to dodge the Ethiopians' archers though. Super Nintendo is going to lose some of his anvil paycheck for the idle time. Oh well. Oh well. Yeah, I know you're just kidding. I have to admit there's not huge money at stake here. So we'll let that one pass. I can do 50 pop scouts with 0 idle time with Khmer. If it has high success rate, that's a completely different matter. But it is fun. Alright, so we have the classic Scouts Archers Feudal Age combination here between the, yeah, what should we say? Wait, actually, yeah, Scouts from the backside and then the flanks players, Britons and Ethiopians. No significant advantage for the Britons just yet, except for the 20% faster working archery ranges, which makes it easier to replenish units, but no extra range or something like that for the Britons player. Good engagement for Endlose Traurigkeit here. They are establishing a numbers lead in with the ranged units. Let's have a look at the waters for a moment as well, because I think this fight is yeah, definitely in Endlos's hands. 12 galleys and counting for Eltrodrasi here. The Saracens playing water here as expected. Saracens galleys fire faster. There is a dock here for the Britons, but there aren't any fish whatsoever. But as you can see, Haru has lost 3 eco units. That's probably the 3 fishing ships he had, if I'm going to guess here. So Endlos and Traurigkeit, they're fairly easily winning water here by the looks of it. And there's going to be lots of fish going down here for Suicidal Meat Shield as well. How's the food economy going to look for Suicidal Meat Shield here? It's 16 on food, but that's diminishing here. That's yeah, it's making some farms. It's like 9 farms. Is it for the purple player over here? Yeah, losing all that fish, that certainly hurts for any player. Down to 29 eco units now for Suicidal Meat Shield. Is in the cast stage though, has some lights out. No other player is in the cast stage, so that extensive fish economy did pay off. No upgrades whatsoever for the knights though. Numbers, yes, but no defense or anything to benefit from, so you don't want to engage against, even against these massive feudal age archers, especially not Ethiopians that fire faster, until you have at least +1 defense for the knights to handle the ranged shots better. Just leaving Super Nintendo Chalmers here to die. That's I guess the scouts are expendable at this point. More scouts being queued by the yellow pocket here, though. Behind this we still have both the Hindustanis and the Franks in the feudal age, but looking at the resource bar of Magge here, Magge is actually going to click Castle Age very soon, so that's a good head start over Anvil here. Anvil's pocket here, or Anvil's Frank's civilization. As you can see, the huge wood situation, the active wood access is mainly in the middle here. So if you're able to contest the wood at home base from your opponents, they are going to struggle big time to place their buildings and do what they need to. Eltrodrasi certainly has done work on water though. 14 eco kills. And now Anvil are at it, pushing here still. Roughly a minute to go for Castle Age for Endless Traurigkeit, and the Archers Knights combination here is going to really mess up the economy of Endless Traurigkeit's side. The scouting on Anvil leaves much to be desired. Why are the players taking all of their elephants? The second time I've seen the Coastal Forest with leftover elephant. Or Did they even play? What? Where's the flare? Ah, it's further in the back. Okay. But they were actually flaring the elephant just to taunt here. It's the Great Escape. This is looking like a nomad refuge panic move here for the blue and green players here. Wood access, big issue for Endless Drawic Cat here. Look at the wood income here. 15 on wood for Jolly Jumper, but they're just, yeah, they're being contested yet again here by the Malians Knights here with 15 total here, and it's going to take a long time before Eltron could actually mass up enough camels here to help out here. Still feudal age for Jolly Jumper as well. A decent chunk of archers, but once Suicidal Meatshield gets Bloodlines and +2 defense, it's going to be so much harder for the Ethiopian player to deal with the knights as well. Great damage done from Anvil on land here. I think they're sort of almost at least even out for the damage they've taken on the water, losing all the fish. Still no bloodlines for the Malians, so Suicidal Meatshield still missing core upgrades for the cavalry here. Numbers great, of course, but they would be even stronger if they had at least the bloodlines with the 20 extra hit points per night. There's probably a reason for it though. Numbers over upgrades in certain scenarios, that certainly pays off. Let's have a look at the camels. They have these are Saracen's camels. They have bloodlines as well, so they have 30 more hit points each than these knights. Suicidal Meatshield still takes the fight, knowing that the numbers situation is better. And keeps the land army numbers low for Endless Drawic here. Still feudal age for Jolly Jumper though. Great job at keeping the archer mass alive, but we need to get there. There's the castle age. Okay, yeah, finally clicking the castle age for Jolly Jumper. With the Ethiopians, I guess the economy of Jolly Jumper has been compromised heavily by the raids of the Anvil crossbows and knights here, but with the Ethiopians 100 food, 100 gold upon reaching the next stage, it's still going to be fairly easy for Jolly Jumper to get to crossbow Bodkin, even after having had the economy crippled big time by the raiding parties of Anvil. Anvil are back at it. Double cavalry and then crossbows from the Britons, have casually happening to have +1 extra range. If you get the castle up and research the omen, you'll have another +1 range, and in the Imperial Age, yet another one. So, Britain's elite longbows, if you ever get to them with the full upgrades, they'll have a whooping 12 range total, which is absolutely ridiculous. But it's not too commonly seen. It's since you need a castle to pass them. Looks to me like the camel snips are being outplayed here, though. Lots of knights, admittedly. Bloodlines finally in for Suicidal Meatshield as well. But what does that matter when Anvil just have way more cavalry total? There's 2 players going for camels here. Actually, Eltron Trasi is mixing in some Saracen's Knights as well. I didn't see that coming, but maybe he wants to get some raids in or something. We have 4 TCs for the Hindustanis as well, so presumably a good boom happening in the back here. It's massive equal lead for the Hindustanis actually. They have cheaper villagers. But what does that boom help you if your teammates are losing all of their armies? It's only 12 crossbows left now for Jolly Jumper, and again the eco gets heavily compromised here. Barely any resources in the bank for Jolly Jumper. 32 eco units lost. Love the stray knights roaming about, getting some small raids in here as well, forcing a reaction of the opposing team here. That's the moment I have to take a phone call. This could be. This is important. Sorry to stop it mid-game here. I just really have to take it. Sorry about that. Stopping in the middle of everything like that, but that's just freelance musician's life in season. If there's a potential employer calling, you need to take it and call back ASAP, otherwise you might lose out on gigs. And I hope I remember to mute myself and unmute, but I think it's okay. Let's have a look here. Anvil, they really snowballed the situation out of control here for Endlose Traurigkeit here. Endlose, they did put huge emphasis on the naval side of things with the Saracens, arguably setting back the land efforts a little bit. So that is beginning to show here, especially on Jolly Jumper, who's been taking a massive beating here. The 19 eco units, yes, but how many villagers? 9 villagers only for Jolly Jumper here. It's painful to see such losses happening in the blank side. Not too uncommon, of course, when you're subject to 2 versus 1 or even 3 versus 1 at times. But there's also Anvil are doing great work at raiding at the same time and making it hard for Jolly Jumper to relocate to the to other places. He's pulling away with some villagers now, maybe hoping to get a rebound going. But looking at the overall eco and military situation here, I think it's going to take a lot for Endlose Traurigkeit to get back into this game. Cold White in the chat, long time no siege. Nice to see ya. 63 villages to 38 here, but we have to keep in mind that some of those are galleys from the Saracens as well. Let's see about getting some light cab here. Is it actual gold struggles? It is gold struggles. So Anvil, or rather Suicidal Meat Shield, has done a great job at raiding here to keep Magge off the gold income for a while here, to make it difficult to mass, especially the Campbells, which will be sorely needed to contest the armies at hand. The problem with adding camels or having only camel civilizations here from Endlose Traurigkeit is that the camels don't have any considerable pierce armor. So the crossbow mass of Haru with the Britons alone, that's going to easily deal with even the extra HP Hindustani's camels here. Five villagers for Jolly Jumper here. And the GG gets called Anvil taking their home map, which means we will be going to Northern Isles as the last one. But first, before we do that, a look at the stats. So Haru, arguably, I would say MVP, but it's not quite the case. Suicidal Meat with a pretty convincing KD as well. They're barely, did they even lose any villagers at home base? I mean, they lost eco units, but that's fish. That's only fish. I don't think Alvin lost any villagers. We could see in the society score actually, 86, 66, 66. Yeah, then they made fish, but they lost those, of course. Let's have a look at the uptimes here. Ridiculous Frank's uptime there, but that's what an extra elephant or rhino can do for you for the uptimes. And the fact that you don't have berries, but you then have extra incentive to meal the deer as well. I'm already happy if my KD ratio is 1. Yeah, definitely on the positive side here for Super Nintendo Chalmers as well. FC for the Malians really worked out as well. Those knights, even if they were missing crucial upgrades for quite a bit, massing them certainly makes sense in the early, when everyone else is in feudal age, as you can see here. So good call by Ambil there, knowing that the Malians player is so far away that they're not going to be subject to significant early aggression. What the heck has Haru been up to here? That has to be some crossbow dancing to avoid other range units or something. Lots of APM, lots of clicks here from Haru. All right. We're going to game 3. It is on Northern Isles, and we're left with some yeah, powered by Red Bull. Yeah, we're left with some good naval civs here. Japanese, Koreans, Vikings, Dravidians. Let's have a look. Northern Isles it is. So this differs from other water naval maps in the fact that they start with a transport ship. And that's why I kind of like this map actually in the ranked queue as well, because you could actually use your transport ship you begin with and play Lithuanians, for example, and still do an instant rush on the opponent's island. But in this case, they're mainly using the transport ships to scout, to find the optimal dock position, perhaps. And but of course, it's easier to pull off landings and play feudal aggression on the opponent's island when you start with transport ships by default. Alright, let's have a look at the civilizations of choice here. We have Jolly Jumper with the Dravidians for this one. 200 wood once you reach the next 8 for Dravidians. Dravidians makes it easier to commit to, for example, naval aggression, because you essentially get 1 extra dock for free, or a couple of galleys or 5 galleys with that extra wood. Or if they're playing land aggression, that 200 wood allows for an extra range. You could, I guess, in theory, maybe not in practice with the resources at hand, but you could in theory play instant 3 ranges with Dravidians on land. You'd of course much rather play double ranges and a blacksmith, but the option is there. In the pocket, we have Magge with the Portuguese. Portuguese ships, or battleships, I'd say, warships, they have extra hit points. All gold units for the Portuguese, they also cost 20% less gold. Should it come to landing aggression for the Portuguese, you could make castles and organ guns. And which is scary in the mass as well. Finally, Elfbrontrasi with the Koreans here. I've seen on Northern Isles before, I've seen Koreans assuming the middle with castles and getting that extra stone for further castles for war wagons and whatever. Mafia Rush, that's just Dennis or with I once invention. You need to find the clip and link it now, Dennis. Okay, so Khmer for Super Nintendo Chalmers, that's smelling like a landing if you ask me. Khmer don't need any buildings to go up, so Super Nintendo Chalmers could easily just transport a couple of villagers over, drop a stable without needing a barracks at all, and just, or a range for that matter, and just start the landing aggression. I don't think there's a command for it, Dennis. I think you need to go to the clips and find it. Haru with the Vikings in a pocket position here. I'm assuming he wants to try and get away with the fast castle long boat style play here, which could certainly work out if uninterrupted. The longboats in mass, they're just ridiculously scary. They fire so fast and they move so quickly, very easy to micro. Also kind of like a true canoe, but in boat format. Nice save by Suicidal Meat Shield over here. Saves the unloomed villager while luring. I don't know what... Could be pathing that messed up here that caused the board to get these hits in. But here we go. It's going to pull it back home. Set 2 villagers maybe. No, this is the short fisher. Anyway, gonna bring the board back home without losing villagers there. So that's great news. Idle time looking overall good for both teams here. Feudal Age on the way for Super Nintendo Chalmers. And housed for the time being. That doesn't really matter when you're going up like this. Note that Elfbrontrath is patrolling the shoreline here. Also has the transport ship, so he's expecting the Khmer player to land here. Like how the players are using the starting transport ships for scouting purposes. Is he actually blocking the fish drop-off here? Jolly Jumper? Is Jolly Jumper going to go for it? He's dropping the barriers. He's going to go for a landing here. He's not going to play water. He's going to go for a landing and place the ranges on Suicidal Meat Shield side here. Interesting. Pleb Chariot, curious about my rank. Also saw Kotra again, that took me to the 1351 earlier today. and there then it makes the Mafia collab. Nice. Nice. That's a good castle drop. Watch and learn. Alright, what's going on over here? We have the Feudal Age for Super Nintendo Chalmers actually not going for the landing on Elfbrontrasi's side, or I mean not going to land villagers on Elfbrontrasi's side, at least not to begin with. They're placing the stable at home instead. I guess that's, I mean, given the short distance here, you could easily transport scouts over anyway, and still have the surprise factor. So why not? You'd have your military building at home to pump out some units to defend, and you can transport over these few tiles for that aggression. Transport ship is still on land there. Okay, so they're all placing the military buildings at home, so they're going to go for the tedious transport approach here, back and forth. 2 ranges for Jolly Jumper here, also seems to have the gold on point here to pump out archers out of these ranges. Meanwhile, Haru is going straight FC here and will have, as mentioned, have access to the long boats, which should be fast enough to snipe transport ships and whatever shenanigans might happen here. Why place the buildings against the gold mines? Probably just to minimize walking distance, I guess, and they kind of form part of a wall here as well, so why not? You need to replenish your gold mine. Skirmishers? Eh? Call and be confused. Alright, what's going on here? There's galleys from Eltrotrasi here with the Koreans going to contest the waters here. That could compromise Super Nintendo Challenger's landing as well. It's queuing up the scouts now, already transported over a few of them. Do we have Loom here for Eltrotrasi? We do indeed. Might have been a reaction to the scouts happening here. Oh, will they get in? Oh, it's close, but no entrance. But they go for the gold instead. Great damage being done by the Khmer player here now. Idling the gold of Eltrotrasi, compromising the galley production as well as it goes, but re-landing units is going to be an issue now that Eltrotrasi has these kind of numbers of galleys out and about. That this is it. There we go. Yeah, that's the note. Maybe skirmishers have some hidden bonus against boats, huh? As we don't know about. Probably not. Anyway, the Japanese player going for mass fire galleys here, contesting the Dravidians, trying for some land units, but not transporting them over. Peculiar approach there. The scouts still doing work for Super Nintendo Chalmers to the west as well. And overall, I'd say Anvil are in a great spot here. Haru with the longboats in the making, currently quite housed, but once that TC completes, that's going to remedy the housedness. Is it actually? There we go. Yeah, you got it sorted. Second TC going up as well, extending the economy, securing those resources. And now Magge is here with the galleys as well, so hefty naval efforts from Endlose Traurigkeit here. They have the 2 players playing water. Super Nintendo Chalmers has replaced the transport ship, hoping to make a re-landing now that the naval armies are mainly busy elsewhere. They're moving about, but the longboats are out as well, and the only player in the castle age here is Haru. And it doesn't look like any of the others will be... I guess the Portuguese player might be going up in not too long. Longboat numbers increasing, 10 of them. This choke pointed map here, that should really play into the longboats' favor. You could easily sneak in longboats from 2 directions and take some great fights as the game moves on here. Good attention by, or good unit placement of Eltrotrasi in between the home bases here to deny Super Nintendo Chalmers more production from the dock. It is able to pull off another landing though, with only 2 scouts. There's a limit to how much they will be doing on that. Alkolner in the chat. Velkommen. longboats and fire galleys here to claim. I guess and we'll have the 2 players on the sea as well, acknowledging the importance of naval control on this map, but it's lots of passages to pay attention to as well. You want to fortify the middle as well, get a cat lap or something to access these extra resources, which will be significant for the long game. This is the decider game. It is a best of 3. It's who? What do you mean? Looks like we'll have another good engagement here. Isn't all caller knocking door? No, it says tuk tuk, it means thank you in Norwegian. Where's the action at now? Galleys dealing with the Dravidians, docks here. Castle Age kicking in for Eltrontrazi, stabilizing nicely at home here for docks. Are we going to see turtle ships here? Or are we going to see a straight Imperial Age? There is some gold missing for that, but the University and monasteries are going up here for Eltrontrazi. I guess with the Castle Age coming in for the Khmer, you'd want that monastery to pump out some monks to convert any landing knights as well, but yeah, that's the 2 buildings needed for the next age, so that's going to be the Imperial Age for Eltrontrazi, isn't it? Which would give the armies of the Koreans, naval armies, the upper hand over the Vikings here, if they're able to mass a significant chunk of warships to compete here, that is. Superintendent Farmers, the designated landing players here, unfortunately get spotted by Mogge here. Great micro by Mogge there to take out 2 of the landing builders. Will the last one be saved? Are there enough longboats here to take the fight? I'm not too sure if there are. And Bill 55, and Losse 55, 156, 141. This game is still wide open. Fighting off with the villager! Oh, quick wall! Nah, that's a failed landing for Super Nintendo Chalmers, unfortunately. That's unfortunate. Seat for shop denied at 77%. Oh, look at that poor little ship being focused on by the Dravidians. War galleys here. But Jolly Jumper still surviving on water here to keep things going. We have some knights of Super Nintendo Charmers here hitting Eltrontrazi at a very vulnerable point here, going Imperial Age at only at sub 40 villagers, right? So these knights are doing enormous damage now with Eltrontrazi spending 1,000 food, 800 gold on the Imperial Age, and that Imperial Age is not going to give Eltrontrazi anything now. 52 gold, 162 food. No way Galleon is affordable here. If that was the plan at all. Yeah, that set back the Koreans quite a bit there. Great raids by the Khmer player. Now Suicidal Meat Shield with a Japanese castle on the right hand side here. Going to add some docks next to that castle probably. Or it's just a... Yeah, it's a means to further secure the top side here, have a point of refuge for the armies to fight next to a castle. The blue player, admittedly, with fewer build tree by far compared to Suicidal Meat Shield, and this looks to be a... This is great, actually. The Suicidal Meat Shield is forcing Jolly Jumper to take the fight here. So Jolly Jumper needs to either flee or take the fight, and in the meantime the villagers can complete the castle. Yes, jumping on the gun a bit here, Jolly Jumper, though I guess these war galleys will focus villagers to at least delay this castle. Do we have a successful siege workshop now? We do indeed. So Super Nintendo Chalmers, again with the annoying landings here, did not succeed with this one. And there's one builder pounding away at it from Moggy here, that hero woman. That's going to take you a while, young woman. Actually, she does 4 damage per hit, so she has been practicing her boxing. Longboats fighting in better numbers again here, but they are outmatched in hit points. $17-13 here. What's our teal player up to? War galleys. Severely diminished numbers here. The Japanese castle has completed as well. Suicidal Meat Shield applying some serious pressure on the Dravidians here now, and should easily be able to land with whatever land unit the Japanese might bring to the field here, or to the waters, depending. Imperial Age is on the way for the Vikings as well. Elite Longboat will probably be seen, and it also allows for, you know, cast drops and tread pressure. Haru already taking the middle here, securing some of those precious golds and stones for the late game. While Super Nintendo Chalmers is still applying great pressure on the Koreans here, and just constantly idling Eltrondrazi here. There's the Imperial Age for Haru. Chemistry and Bracer coming in first, and Elite Longboat probably not affordable just yet, but Bracer, that's going to, and Chemistry, that's going to give a lot higher damage output to the Longboats already. And looks like Careening is in for the both of them as well, so they both have that extra armor for their ships. Oh, there are bears in the middle. Why are there bears on a deserted island with stones and golds on it? So yellow flare in the middle. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Yeah, I guess Haru wanted to help Suicidal Meat Shield get to the middle for further stone access, perhaps? No, there's still stone on the home island. This is a ship I haven't seen a lot yet. It's supposed to be very good against galleys, I believe. It's got more HP. Does it? How much does a war galley have? Yeah, 100 more HP than the war galley. Would be fun if the bears could swim and attack fishing ships. They go there because it's a great place to ambush villagers if you're a hungry bear. Ah. Fair point, fair point. Anvil establishing an eco lead here by good margins. Imperial Age for the Japanese player as well, whereas Magge is on the way there as well. Last player will end lost to get to the cast stage. I'm not sure if Super Nintendo Chalmers really needs to get to the cast stage here, if he just keeps this annoyance up. 3 stables on land on Eltrondrazi's side here now, just constantly harassing the economy, going to steal a bit of the gold here as well now. Thirisadai could potentially help EGT back on the water control here, I guess. What's going on down south here? That's galleons against the longboats, not yet elite. Chemistry is in for both as well, but I think the longboats have way more numbers here, so that's a great fight for Haru here, taking out the stray numbers of galleons in the back here, disallowing Jolly Jumper any raids from in the backside of Haru's base here. Great engagement. Now castles in the middle providing cover fire for Haru as well. The castles have ballistics, but do they have that technology for? Never mind. I was gonna check if I had heated shot. The university is there, so here it comes. Speaking of, so heated shot not in, but it's about to come in. That's great for Haru's middle castles here. They have bracers, so they already have 8+3 range anyway. And I did see guard tower for Suicidal Meat Shield as well, so that's a means to secure the shoreline for the Japanese player as well. Love those. Probably might see keeps as well, and I assume Yasama, if it's not in, might come in as well for the Japanese. Look at these red dots here, again, melting the land economy of Eltrontrazi, leaving Eltrontrazi no chance to fight for water together with his teammates. Yeah, longboats are the Chukonu of the water, for sure. Yeah, we're gonna need more of these blue big ships to handle the longboats masses. How many longboats now? Do you have elite as well, possibly? No, still no elite. Maybe Haru doesn't even care, just wants the numbers. It's 68 longboats I'm counting. If he gets to elite at some point, that's going to be a nice boost, but I don't remember how much exactly that affects the stats. Look at the speed, movement speed, it's way faster than the galleons as well. You have elite? It says longboat. Ah, okay, it's a bug. Well, that makes sense. It's the middle, the big fights are going on. We'll keep an eye out the raids as well. I was going to say Suicidal Meat Shield will probably be able to trap Jolly Jumper's castle from his side here. I think that's within trap range. It's 16 tiles. I don't use grid mod, that's just who I am, but I think this is doable. Did that prep just sink a ship? Nine villagers left for Eltrontrazi here. Is being dominated by the Khmer at land and can't mobilize the units. Have they been slinging each other at least? I guess there's no no way to sling here for Endlose Traurigkeit. You had the longboats in elite longboats in start of the game. That makes sense. Chemistry bracer and elite longboat immediately. That's not a surprise at all with the Vikings economy. Fat fire ships and galleons from the Japanese here. Anvil with twice the military of Endlose Traurigkeit now. And that's it. The GG is called. Anvil takes the win and the reverse sweep here 2-1. Yeah, this is an interesting water map. Especially since you start with that transport ship, so it could evolve into more land aggression as well, depending. Huge military score for Haru. How many elite longboats in the end? Yeah, he was up to almost 80 at some point. This was a water map? I approve of the way you played it, Jokimas. I would play it exactly the same way. Just land and be freaking annoying. You have played. Congrats to Anvil for winning the playoff.